I welcome everyone to the CutCode channel. The month of October has come to an end, which means that it's time for a digest of news from the world of PHP and an update from Laravel. To get started, be sure to check that you are subscribed to the channel so as not to miss new videos. And we start by tradition with an overview from the PHP world with Sergey Panteleev. Let's go!
Hi, this is a PHP digest on the CutCode channel. Let's take a look what happened in the PHP world in October. PHP 8.2.0 RC65 is out. The last 6th release candidate is expected on November 10. In less than a month, there will be a stable release of PHP 8.2. For a detailed list of what's coming in PHP 8.2, see PHP Watch and Brand Rules blog. PHP 8.0.25 and PHP 8.1.12 have been released. This version fixes an CVE, so all users are advised to update. Most of the core news is covered in detail in the PHP Core Roundup series from the PHP Foundation, so we will only mention it briefly. The RFC, with the addition of the JSON validate function we discussed last month, is accepted. The new function will be available in PHP 8.3. Tim Dusterhuis proposed improved unserialized error handling. This RFC was questioned by several developers, including one of Symfony developer Nicholas Grekas, who believed that the implementation would severely break backward compatibility. Tim Dusterhuis and Joshua Ruswick presented an RFC for discussion adding new methods to randomizer that implement commonly useful operations that are either verbose or very hard to implement in user land. Bob Finan proposes to add an operator for default values in destructuring assignments. That's all the PHP news for the past month. Moving on to Laravel news.
Let's move on to Laravel news. Sergey, thanks for the great review. And we are starting to look at the Laravel updates for October. There are very few of them, but what can you do? Let's watch, let's go. Friends, we are starting with update 9.35 and a short syntax for closing the tag is now available for Blade components. Here, with such approach, only this moment did not work. We are not far away from the 9.35 update and we have an extremely interesting update about the Laravel feature from Tim McDonald. We can't wait to try it in one of the projects. It's called the Precognition Update. Foresight works based on the request and response headers within the new middleware. Let's take a live example with you to understand what we are talking about in simple words. We have a registration form and a request form with validation rules. When sending a request, we will go through a full validation for all fields, but I think you have often seen the logic on the site when, during the input process, the application tells you whether there is such an account or not. Just the application creates a sense of foresight. What is the name of this functionality based on? Further, it is enough for us to hang up the middleware from this precognition update and then send a request to the Tindy front with a heading "What is our request?" within the framework of precognition and receive a response within the framework of such a prediction only for certain fields. And also we can add a check in the validation rules themselves. And if this is a precognition request, then somehow change this set of rules. There are many other examples in requests as well, but I think it's worth waiting for an update on the documentation to be added and start using it for its intended purpose. Extremely interesting update. Moving on to update 9.35 and new syntax for email sending classes. Previously, we just had a build method, then over time, attachments appeared in the form of additional classes. Now, this moment has also expanded. There was a separate block for content with a separate class responsible for the content, and under the envelope, under the meta information of our messages, now it looks like this. More serious approach, but in general, the build method that we used before will also be available and will also add. Still, update 9.35 and a new statistical method within the Shelby sharing eloquent model. Before that, we already had helper methods for prevent lazy loading and others that threw an exception if something was missing. so that we would pay attention to it in the process. Now we have one shelby shearing method, and if we look inside, then it just hides all these 3 previous methods in itself. An update 9.36, an update from Nuna Maduro, regarding the optimization of the blade components. If you believe the statistics, the results are simply stunning. In some cases, the performance gain reaches up to 92% within inline components, while in all other cases, the increase is also significant. An extremely interesting update, and such an increase in performance will definitely not hurt us. Although I have already started noticing small glitches after this update as part of the creation of the cache by blade and some other points. But I think it will all be fixed in the next patch. And finally, update 9.37, a new method within the query builder that allows you to get values from an SQL expression. I think everything is very clear as part of the example that I provided you. Friends, thank you all for watching, and thank you for the like you just gave. For us, this is extremely important, and that's all for now. See you soon in new videos on the channel CutCode.